welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put On Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting out the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. Also, a beautiful day in Allegiant Stadium. The Raiders, dare I say, 3-0, three wins in a row. They have been really good in this stretch. Kind of had some, overtime magic the last couple of weeks, but this week this was their most complete game. I felt comfortable in this one. Even this, I mean, when you win a game, they should have won this game by 2 scores, but they were up by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, despite turning the ball over, giving up a pick six, giving up a Jacobs fumble. Who Jacobs never fumbles, so he's allowed to be a human being and fumble there in that spot. But the defense came up big and stopped. I bet you. I mean, Brian Staley probably wishes he had that 3 points back, but he chose to go on fourth down, and they weren't able to do that. But Ryan hit the score right on the head as far as the score total goes, 27-20. The Raiders win, beat the Chargers, and they have slim playoff hopes alive. They need a lot of help, but at least seem like they're playing with more interesting football and playing, just making you feel better about like seeing like a future with the combination of players they have on this team.
Did you just say the P word? I thought we had a rule.
We had a rule. But I'm just saying, like, for people we have a rule. We don't talk about playoffs until they're 500, and they could be on their way to 500. But I'm not gonna say the P word again. But I'm just saying, if you're thinking about the P word, then they have to win two. They got to win two. They got to turn this 3-game win streak into a 5-game win streak.
Yeah, again, it was the defense showed up today. They played well in spurts the last couple of weeks, and they kind of put it together today. They held them to 13 points, minus the car pick six, and the only touchdown they gave up was on a 4th and 12, where Patrick Graham decided to rush 3. But other than that, the defense played well. The defensive line ate in the first half, and I think as the game went on, you just saw the Raiders start to play a lot more man, and the defensive backs got more confidence. I'm shocked that the Chargers didn't throw the ball over the middle of the field most of the game, because that's where the Raiders have been vulnerable the whole season. But thankfully they didn't. I think they had to keep tight ends and backs in to help slow down the pass rush, and that played into the Raiders' advantage. And then you could tell the defensive backs had a problem with some barbecue chicken comments that were made during the week. And for the most part, Keenan Allen was a non-factor in this game outside of the 4th down touchdown. But, credit to the offensive line again. The offensive line opened up. Like we said, they had to pound the rock. They ran it for 154 yards. They averaged 5.3 a carry. Jacobs went over 140 yards again. They mixed in just enough play action, and Josh McDaniels went for the throat after turnovers and a missed field goal, something that we've been asking for. And they get a turnover right out of the half. The Dwayne Douglas middle 8. The Raiders won the middle 8. They held their field goal. They got a turnover. They scored a touchdown. So that was an opportunity where the game could have flipped in the Chargers' favors, and the Raiders held their ground. And then they got a little separation there. They had a chance to go up 18 late going into the fourth quarter, had to settle for a field goal. They kind of kept the Chargers kind of around, and the defense, for the most part, played well, other than giving up that 4th down touchdown. They got to stop on the next drive after the offense couldn't go down and kick a field goal. And, it all came together. Coverage units on kickoff, they kept kicking it short. I was wondering, why do they keep having a guy hold the ball? They're in a dome. There's no wind, but it was obviously by design. They kicked the ball short. They tackled them inside the 20 a bunch of times. The few times they did punt, the punt coverage team got down there. And then obviously the defense got the ball back for the offense after the offense had some turnovers, and the offense went down. And once the defense got the ball, the offense went down and scored. So you kind of see it all coming together. And now we're going to find out, what does this team look like if Renfro and Waller get back next week? Because it's literally been the Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams show for 3 straight weeks. And I'm surprised some of these defenses aren't taken away, but you can't. When you have to put 8 guys in the box to stop Jacobs, you got to leave Devontae one-on-one. And I think they did a really good job this week of getting Devontae the ball on the outside without having to manufacture those touches on the inside and moving him in the slot.
It's kind of a perfect combination because if you have 2 receivers, maybe a deep threat and a slot guy, maybe you can do some things on the back end to take him out of the game. But when the 2 biggest threats are an all-world receiver and then an all-world running back, they kind of complement each other, because you can't. The flea flicker is a perfect example. Like, They know they can't stop the run. They haven't stopped the run all day. They haven't stopped the run since since his junior Seau was on the team. So they have to bite on every hard play action fake because they can't stop the run at all. And then that's where I thought it was great throw by Carr, great design, great route by Devontae Adams, who's just ridiculous. As far as that goes, it just looks like when he gets the ball in his hands in the open field, it's like magic happens. So we were kind of clamoring for that to happen a little earlier in the game. I thought maybe that first quarter. Like I mean, that's not. I don't want to be. I don't want to recreate the wheel. Like if he has what do you have today as far as one
Josh?
177. Like I
Oh,
mean,
Devontae,
yeah.
12 targets, 8 catches, 177, 2 touchdowns.
I mean, give him if he gets 200, give him 200. The guy is built for 200 yards in the game. Like he wants all the smoke. I would say one thing about Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen has something. I understand it's a rivalry with the Chargers and the Raiders. Every time they play, he has a lot of smoke. But like you gotta, I mean, he's a good player, not a great player. He just play clean. Keenan, just play. We don't need any more. I mean, if you want to keep doing it, you can keep doing it. I mean, whatever. But like, it makes no sense to keep doing that as far as that goes. Josh Jacobs again. I mean, the offensive line is really coming together. I think Illuminor, you mentioned that, on a tweet today that, he just kind of shut down Khalil Mack, made him a non-factor in this ball game. Josh Jacobs again, like, hey, if you want to do the no practice for Josh Jacobs the rest of the season. You know what I'm saying? Just let him do his thing. He obviously knows how to get himself ready to play. We really thought about how this line is coming together and the way they're just really opening up a lot of holes for Josh Jacobs, who's really just killing it right now for the Raiders.
I think a lot of it's still Josh Jacobs. I mean, I don't see massive holes other than the touchdown run. A lot of it, he's finding a crease here, a hole there, the vision to bend back, to find cutback lanes. I'm wondering, like a lot of Raider fans, where was this week one? They couldn't. There was 2 weeks they couldn't get Devontae the ball, and there was the first 3 weeks they didn't even give the ball to Jacobs.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see that come around. But I think the offensive identity is run the football, be physical, play action, and you have to have the offensive line to do that. I don't know if there was some injuries early in the year, but it seems like Illuminor. I saw something last week, and I don't know if this is accurate or not. I saw it somewhere online that he hadn't given up a quarterback sack or a hit since week 3, and that was before last week. And then he goes out this week, and it's basically a goose egg for Khalil Mack outside of 3 assisted tackles. No solo tackles, no quarterback hits, no sacks. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. Obviously, they're helping him with a tight end and they're chipping with the back. But early on, I was wondering what the game plan was because we didn't really see a lot of movement down the field. The first 3 or 4 drives, they couldn't really get anything going. But then the offense clicked. It took them 4 series to get the ball to Devontae, and the minute they started throwing the ball to Devontae, they went up and down the field the rest of the game. So they should probably start to do that a little bit sooner. But I'm not going to take away. They basically dominated this game from the second quarter on. It's a home game. They have to defend their home turf. They did it. They have to win in the division. They did it. They have to win in the AFC. They did it. So tip of the cap for the Raiders. I can't wait to see the all-22 with Patrick Graham and figure out what they did defensively, schematically. Like, did they leave the middle of the field open? Did they do anything different? Was it more pressure? You saw Isaiah Palamau get a sack, and he came on a couple of blitzes. Yeah. So you saw some different blitzes. You saw them put 6 or 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, which we've been screaming for them to do for weeks, and stop bringing everyone from depth. So they had guys on the line of scrimmage. They dropped out. They brought pressure, and then when Chandler Jones is getting 3 sacks, and Matthew Butler and Cleveland Farrell are getting in there, then you know that it's going to be a good day for the defense.
Yeah, shout out to Khalif Farrell with the little spin move. Get in there, 99, get in there for a sack. Yeah, I mean, they have been good in this stretch. I'm not sure. I mean, the only nitpick would probably be the interception. You got people open. I don't know what, especially at home. I kind of noticed it with Carr. He kind of just like takes him a while to settle down. Once he settles down, it's all good. They were able to settle down and get into the flow of get the flow into the offense. I know in the NFL they say the first quarter is like you're feeling out process as far as that goes, but good job by the Raiders winning this one and taking this game. And then I don't want to look. I'm not saying the P word, but if you mentioned they winning in the AFC, they have to keep winning these AFC games. They have after the Ram game, they have a couple more in a row before they face the gauntlet of what could be a tough stretch at the end of the season. But if they're able to beat the Rams on Thursday night, that would be a great step in it. They'll be one game under, and they should have a showdown with the Patriots. But they got to put they can't put the cart before the horse there as far as that goes. The Raiders the Raiders find a way here as far as that goes. Defensively, I did. I mean, they just can't. I mean, I just saw number 10 getting on. He was on the ground almost the whole game, and I almost wanted them not to stop sending an extra guy. Like just like I mean, like don't rush forward. Just keep sending another person. Play that Utah defense, if you will. Just I mean, he can't. I mean, you can't do. I mean, you can't do anything about it. I mean, they really don't have the horses to like. They started the season with a good offensive line, but they don't have the pieces right now. So take advantage of it and keep it up. But the rush three, the one blemish on this whole thing. We talk about rushing three all the time. I don't know why it happens. I'm not sure I don't know what's going on with it. But why do coaches continue to do this? I'm not sure. I can't. I'm trying to think of a good reason why you'd rush three in that moment or any moment, but at that moment especially.
I mean, they had backups all over the offensive line. It was 4th and 12, and they rushed three. And my concern, and we've talked about it all year, is when you rush three, they can double Max. Like when they can double Crosby,
yeah,
and he doesn't get home. I don't know, and to that, I don't know how much you saw of snap to snap, but on the 4th and 9 on the defensive stop, they did it again. And
yeah,
I get rushing three and using Klee as the spy, but I got news for you. Justin Herbert's going to outrun Klee to the edge every day of the week. So
yeah.
it's not even going to work, even if he gets outside the pocket. But I think overall, I think the defense had their best day of the year. I think Trayvon Merrick from the broadcast had his best day of the year, getting his hands on balls, covering tight ends, getting involved in the run game. Deron Harmon punched the ball out. I think Sam Webb had some struggles. Hobbs was a welcome addition. Rock Ya-Sin got his hands on the balls, but still, there's still some situational stuff they need to clean up. Third and 11, you can't run the guy want to run a 12-yard curl and give a huge cushion and let him catch it. So there are things the Raiders can go back and clean up off the tape, but that's about as clean of a game that they've played all year. Not a lot of penalties. The offensive line, no false starts, didn't get any holding penalties that I can remember. Open up run game. Carr had a ton of time. You know how many quarterback hits the Chargers had? Carr dropped back 30 times. How many quarterback hits do you think they had?
Two.
They had two. They hit him twice. So you can't ask for much more than that. I think they tried to get the ball down the field a little bit more in this game, and the offensive line held up. But it's the timely shots that they did it at the right time when they're over midfield. First play after a turnover. Go for it. And then when they needed that drive, I think you were texting me like, be aggressive. And I'm like, no, run the football, run the clock. And they get like a 9-minute drive. If I'm going to pick one thing in the game, nitpick, and I know the Carr fans are going to get really mad at me, but you got to put a dagger in the heart when you're in the red zone. You have a chance to go up 3 scores in the fourth quarter. And right at the snap, before the CBS even showed it, Hollins was right. You could see it right away. And they're flashing in front of you. Like they're running crossing routes. So you can see Adams going this way and Hollins going that way. And there was no one going with Hollins. The guy was like 5 yards behind him. Like you got to see that and then get the ball over there. And I know everyone's going to say, well, he's throwing it to Adams. Don't get mad. But like you can throw it to whoever you want if it gets knocked away. If there's another guy that flashes in front of you that's wide open, you have a chance to put a dagger in your opponent, do it. But other than that, I thought, after the first quarter, Carr was not very good in the first quarter, but from that point on, like he settled in and like just like last week, kind of struggled out of the gate and then turned it on late, and the running game took over in the fourth quarter. And Josh Jacobs is a badass.
No, he really is. I think Josh Jacobs that phone booth stuff, man. It's just it's crazy to see him get a handoff. He's 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's 6 yards. And before you know it, he's 6 yards up the field. So, he continues to do that and be a magic man for the Raiders. And if they ever get, go ahead.
I would add, short week, Thursday.
Yeah.
They get any sort of lead in this game, like Josh Jacobs should not have 28 touches in this game on a short week. They need him down the stretch. They need to use Zamir White. They need to put Abdul in. I think it's going to be tough for him to go on Thursday if he re-aggravated this injury at all, and to ask him, because you have that 10-day. They need to win the game, but if there's no Aaron Donald, there's no Cooper Kupp, there's no Matt Stafford, there's no Allen Robinson.
They played a close game today with the Seahawks today, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, so I mean, they were feisty today. Probably division
the backup got hurt. Understand that. Woodford got hurt. I'm pretty sure Bryce Perkins finished that game. Yeah, so they're down to their third quarterback.
Yeah, you got. I mean, just keep don't it's not like high school where they're trying to do anything like that. Just keep the pressure on, destroy them early in this game, because I mean they're 3-9. Their season is done. They have a myriad of injuries. It's just over for them. So why I'm trying to see anything with the Rams as far as
I do think we're one day closer to Sean Payton being the next coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, though. I don't see how, unless they get to the playoffs, I don't see how Staley can come back. That defense, with all of the star power, even with the injuries, you still have Mack and James and Samuel and Adderley. And Michael Davis is not a bad corner. They still have a first-round pick in Murray. You have guys on that side. They couldn't do anything defensively in this game. And that their defense statistically, and I know a bunch of Raider fans are tweeting me during the week, the Raiders defense is trash. Go check out the stats on the Chargers defense before this game, because they're worse than the Raiders defense. So as much as we want to talk crap about the Raiders defense, they're not the 32nd ranked team in the league. They're probably even after this game. And then if you really want to get technical, and I'm not trying to defend the defense in any way, but take out the Renfro touchdown, take out a couple of pick sixes. The offense has given up 3 or 4 touchdowns and field goals in easy territory. So this, as bad as this defense has been, they're not as bad. Everyone wants to think this is an historically terrible defense, but it
has not been.
They're in the bottom third. They're in the bottom third. They're not the worst.
Yeah, and they also have not given up. They got 30 twice this season. Twice, yeah. I mean, there's definitely been worse Raider defenses as far as that goes. They've given up way more than 30 points, and more than twice in the season. Woodford, I think you're right. I think Woodford did get hurt with this ball game, but I mean, they couldn't stop Geno Smith. They couldn't stop this offense. Metcalf and Lockett went for 128 yards in this game, and then. What else is here? Rushing wise, what they give up rushing wise? Not much rushing wise. They stuffed the run with Walker. I think Walker came out of this game.
Walker got hurt too.
He got hurt. He came out of that game as well. So yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, that this is a game where it would have been nice if we had a little bit more Zamir White during the season to kind of, get this thing under wraps a little bit, because I mean, they could, help breathe Josh Jacobs, because on a short week, you mentioned it, he can't really be counted on for 30 carries again. That's not fair to Josh Jacobs at all, as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I think hopefully Foster Moreau, he came back into the game. There's potential concussion issue there. Nate Hobbs, potential concussion issue. See how they feel tomorrow. Thankfully, they both returned to the game, but the Raiders are starting to get healthy. They could use Andrew Billings back, but it's going to be interesting if Foster Moreau, something comes up tomorrow and he can't go this week. What happens with Darren Waller? Do they push him back? Because they only have one other tight end on this roster. Cole Farthingham had to play in this game. And I was like, who's 88? Who's this guy running out there, or whatever number he is? And I'm like,
that's who that was.
Yeah.
That's who that was.
So if not, you're going to see Mumford out there at tight end, and they're just going to line up and say, here we come. We're going to run the football.
Or it could be a street tight end. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, that's just not. I mean, you would think that at least they're going to get. I would think that at least one of those guys is coming back this week.
Well, Hollister's on IR. One of those guys should come back, Renfro or Waller. I know it's a short week, but the Raiders desperately need another option in the passing game outside of Adams, because as great as Adams is, they can't rely on this kind of production every week, week in and week out, because guys are going to have to win one-on-one elsewhere on the field at some point. Because right now the Raiders are running trick plays and go routes. That's basically how they're scoring. Run the football, trick plays, go routes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole lot of trick plays going on. The guy I was worried about mostly in this game was Eckler, and they kind of held him in check. He only had 10 carries for 35 yards, and then he had let's see, Eckler had 67,
Five. Yeah, 5 for
60,
67.
yeah, 567. So that was good by the Raider defense as well. So it was everything that was in this game was nice to see. Hopefully that just continues for the Raiders as far as that goes. I thought Carr was pretty solid. Listen, I don't, we can talk about completion percentage and all stuff like that, but if he's throwing touchdown passes, making big plays on the field, I can live with that. I'd rather see him do that than just kind of check down, or go to flat. I mean, if you're gonna force the ball to Devontae Adams, excuse me, yeah, I can live with that because he is one of the best receivers I've ever seen in my life. The guy is ridiculous as far as that goes. Let's see here. Anything else?
Shout out to Micah Robertson. I thought he had a pretty good game outside of the touchdown on the fourth down. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, so good to see him out there.
He only plays he only plays home games. He plays home games. So the Raiders have been on the road last couple of weeks. So he's been Micah Robertson only plays home games, I guess.
Sidney Jones was out there this week. I'll have to see how he looked on the L-22. It's good to start to see some corners. Get Hobbs back in there, and now you have Robertson, you have Jones, you have Webb, who've played. Not that they're going to be difference makers, but they've played. They know the defense at this point. But the Raiders are in a position to go on a run here. That's 3. That's a winning streak, and we'll see what they can do. And I'm not going to use the P word, but they have a chance here to put together, 2 very winnable games coming up the next 2 weeks. And then I know we're all looking at the end of the year. I would circle that Christmas week game at Pittsburgh. That is not a layup by any stretch of the imagination. I know they have a rookie quarterback, but that Steelers team can still play some defense.
Yeah, they can't play defense. And that game has, if you get any weather elements in there, that could be an ugly game. That could be, that could be Josh Jacobs and the Steelers running back all day and all night as far as that goes. They broke Carlson finally missed the field goal in this game. So so sorry about that one. Dave Carson's been one of the best kickers in the game. So as far as that goes, so we had that. I didn't really think that. I felt they felt comfortable in the game. When they made it 20, when it was 20 to 27, I didn't have that same feeling as last year. I thought like they were able to get pressure and make plays, and that was a good sight to see from the Raiders defensive unit. I think it was his best game calling defenses. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, like it's not easy, but like when you have a wounded animal, you got to put him out. You got to put him out of his misery. The offensive line that they had with the Chargers was pretty bagged up and not good. So it was good to see them actually eat and put pressure. And I can't even. I mean, Denzel Perryman hit him in the stomach on a couple of times. I was like, Jesus, he's. I mean, that's a tough shot for Herbert to take, but he took it and he got up and started making some plays as well too. But the pass was a great pass over Amik Robinson to Keenan Allen. CBS. I know y'all want to go. I know he's really good, and y'all want to talk about him. But like put goated there on a they are 6. Are they 6-6 now? Like I mean, like come on. Let's just. I know y'all love Herbert, but like you gotta relax. And he's really good as far as that goes. Put our Raiders podcast. Dwayne Douglas, Ryan Holmes here, just kind of recapping the Raiders 27 to 20 victory over the Chargers to kind of hopefully get back into this thing. Anything else you want to add to the case here?
Yeah, a name just popped in my head, and I haven't heard his name in weeks. What's going on with Devon Diablo? Like, what was the injury? I know he came out, he held his arm. I don't know if he broke his arm or something, but we haven't gotten any updates on him. And if they're playing as much man as they are now, like they're playing a ton of man coverage. They were playing a ton of zone early, and he was lost. Like, if they're going to play, as much man as they have the last 2 or 3 weeks, then there is a spot for him to play in this linebacking course. So, like, I'm just curious, when is he coming back? Are we going to see him before the end of the year? Because Luke Masterson hasn't been great, and
Yeah.
Jayon Brown was looked a little bit better this week, but they could definitely use Diablo if they're going to play a lot of man.
Yeah, I would say too. Talk about people who you take off the street. I think Tillery has been a guy who's made even before this game. I'm sure he was elated to come back and help beat this team, beat his old squad. But he played well, I thought, adding some pressure. He's just noticeable. You see him even when he doesn't get there. You see him in the backfield making plays, so that was helpful. And just Bilal Nichols, people like that. So that's always good to see, is that pressure in the middle that also makes it easier, obviously, for Crosby and Jones to get things going. Hobbs did return in the game. Did J.R. Brown get hurt in this game? I saw him come off the
Not
field.
that
Did he
I can
come in?
remember. I think Rock Ya-Sin had a knee injury. He came out. I think Brown did get nicked up, but I want to say he returned. I could be wrong.
Okay, well, okay. And Harmon came through with the fumble and everything like that. So, I just it's still a little annoying because that they didn't kind of know this football team a little bit more, as you when the season started, because if you had questions about the defense, the best way to have them be prepared is to have them play less defense, and then they could have run the ball a lot more with Josh Jacobs in his first game. I kind of felt like, I mean, it just kind of like going back on it and looking at it, like, they really should have. I mean, look at both games that are fresh in your mind, the first game of the year and this one. The Raiders really missed the opportunity to sweep the Chargers, and they really should have swept the Chargers this year.
Yeah, I think it's more, coming out of training camp, you had Waller, you had Renfrew, you had Adams. You were like, you wanted to throw the ball, you wanted to figure this out, you wanted to figure out your offensive line. They almost were forced to turn around and hand the ball to Josh Jacobs. So it might be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Because who knows, if those other guys got hurt, they definitely wouldn't be running the Big
Much as
Ten
they do.
offense that I called it last week. They're doing it out of necessity because they don't have any other options. Like, they're not going to throw the ball to Hollins a ton. They're not going to throw it to Cole. They're not going to throw it to Turner. So they literally have to turn around and give it to Jacobs. And this offensive line's not going to pass block long enough. If you're going to drop back 40 or 50 times behind this line, it's not going to hold up. So like they have to do this. So that's why I'm curious, how is this going to look when you bring back Waller and Renfro in the next week or two? Or maybe they don't come back. We don't know. But it sounds like Waller will be back before Renfro, for reading the tea leaves here. So he could definitely help, because he's going to be able to go down the middle of the field and stretch it there and allow, because that's where a lot of the play actions come. Is you see those shots to Moreau up the seam. Now you're going to have Waller running up the seam. So we'll see what happens. I have a sneaky suspicion that Waller will play on Thursday. I don't know that for sure, but like, I think he's chomping a bit to get back out there. I think he knows what's going on. He's hearing the voices in the background, and he wants to go out there and prove himself like any professional athlete would want to. Yeah. And I think this front office and this coaching staff sitting there going, okay, the momentum's on our side. We've won 3 in a row. This is lining up. Like, we can't slip up again. We have to win out.
Yeah.
Like, if he can go this week, he's going to go, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you go this week and then you do it any soreness, and you get a long week, you get a long time to come back.
Even if it's like 20 plays, like, have a packages for him. He doesn't have to be out there for 60 plays.
A red zone package or something. Like, I mean, that's
third down, red zone, like shot play, like. Yeah,
you gotta get something going, because I mean, you got to take advantage of this opportunity now. Now that we're not talking about first pick in the draft, second pick in the draft anymore, and you're down. Now it's time to kind of keep the momentum going and push the rock a little bit. And I think also, to that point, is like, you have to get. I mean, I know you don't want to put White out there. Got to be some apprehension out there, and I understand how great Jacobs has been, but you got to give him a break here and give him some assistance as far as the backfield goes, and definitely, because he's just taking a pounding. It's just the way he is, his way he's built. He's not going to shy away from contact, so you need him to come through, and you got to give him a rest here, coming up here on a short week on Thursday Night Football on Amazon, whatever. All right, I think anything else you want to?
For you. One last question. Yeah. Rams season's over. Half their team's on IR. Yeah. Raider Nation will take over SoFi Stadium on Thursday night. I'm guessing 70% Raider fans, if not 75%.
Yes, and that is something that
it's going to be a home game.
and that has not been always been a good thing because I think we've done that
No,
several times. We got this. That's been a house of horrors for the Raiders, I guess. Have they won a game there yet? They have not, right?
I don't know.
No, because they have made the Chargers there 2 years in a row, right? So they have made the Chargers, and it's first time playing the Rams. So I don't know. They should be very loud for the. I can imagine. There's no Rams fans do not like Raider fans, and they did
They're
not come.
selling their tickets right now, though.
Yeah, they're not coming to this game. I mean, they're not coming to this game. So there's going to be all silver and black that whole stadium. So like you can play Rams house all you want. That's not going to be the case when the Raiders play them this week. It's going to be pretty embarrassing as far as that side of it. But you know what? They do get the Lombardi, so it's not too embarrassing for them.
They got a Lombardi, and I predicted the correct score this week, so we're even.
So we're even. Yeah, so we're even. I guess so. All right, Brand Nation. We'll get back to you later in the week. We got all 22 to look at. I'll look at the Rams, and Ryan will look at the Raiders. You'll check all his stuff out on Twitter. I'll throw some stuff out there as well. So, and then also, Student by Your Right, we're coming up. We'll put a cap on the season for the USC Trojans who are playing Tulane in the Cotton Bowl. I think Cotton Bowl. I'm so disappointed. I can't even think about what bowl they're playing in. And then there's a new coach coming to the Pac-12 as well with Deion Sanders coming to Colorado. So I'll see if I can get somebody on for that as far as that goes. All right, Ray Nation. Ryan, take care. Have a good night. Ray Nation.
All right, take care.
The Raiders won 3 in a row. Enjoy.